Okay, looks like we are possibly live on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us now, welcome to CE-5 Academy. My name is Ashley Epstein, and you are being joined by your co-hosts, Matt and Gabriel Ali. This is a impromptu live episode where we're going to be sharing global contact methods. So if you could give me 1 minute, we are just going to verify if all of our technicalities are working, and we are going to get straight into it. Yes, sir. Can you click on the notification? Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go.
Yeah.
So whether you're joining us from the States, from the East, or from the South of this beautiful world, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Welcome to CE-5 Academy. Again, we are an organization that aims to raise awareness about the benefits of practicing CE-5 contact, whether it is for our individual growth or our collective growth. It is something that has been happening now in our world for decades, and it is a movement that is growing from strength to strength. So if there are a little bit of wind, we do apologize about this. We are in a beautiful location outside of Cape Town in South Africa, and there is some wind, so please do bear with us. And we are going to get straight into the different global contact methods that people have practiced and experienced over the last 50 years, we will say. So these are not all of the contact methods available. There are obviously many others out there. However, these are the three main ones that people would come across when they are doing research on the internet regarding CE-5 contact. So what does CE-5 stand for? As we know, it stands for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, meaning that there are 4 different kinds before that were actually developed by Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who was a senior scientific advisor for the UFO studies for the American government in the 60s and 70s, worked on Project Grudge, Project Blue Book, and various other projects as well. So he came up with 3 different types of encounters that people would notice when they had UFO encounters. Number 1 being the sighting of a ship from afar. Number 2 being physical traces on the ground of landing. And number 3, which is sightings of beings on a craft or outside of the craft. There has later been added a CE-4, which is what we call or refer to as the abduction experiences. And thereafter, there has been CE-5, which was termed by Dr. Stephen Greer over 2 decades ago. So we can understand that CE-1, 2, 3, and 4 are actually predominantly initiated by the other cultures and other beings and other consciousnesses, whereby a CE-5 is proactively engaged by human beings for a peaceful experience with a peaceful and positive intent. So how can we verify all of this for ourselves? You know, incredible claims require credible proof. So why not aim to contact and interact with these societies ourselves? After all, if they exist and are here, we should be able to communicate with these objects or beings in some way, shape, or form. And that is where the CE-5 initiative comes in. So when I refer to the CE-5 initiatives, I'd like you to really understand that I'm not really only talking about Dr. Greer and his efforts into the CE-5 initiative, but really referring to human-initiated contact as a whole around the globe, whether it's through Dr. Greer or through the RAMA group or various other individuals that practice this as well. So we are obviously going to start with Dr. Greer because he, as most people will know, that Dr. Greer coined the term CE-5 a while back. And he has a quote that I really, really enjoy, which says, "The evidence that the Earth is being visited by at least one extraterrestrial civilization is extensive both in scope and detail. In its totality, it comprises a body of evidence which at the very least supports the general assessment that extraterrestrial life has been detected and that a vigorous program of research and serious diplomatic initiatives is warranted." And that is where Dr. Greer came up with the term CE-5. So what does CE-5 stand for? CE-5 is a term that describes a 5th category of close encounters with extraterrestrial intelligence, characterized by mutual bilateral communications rather than unilateral contact. The CE-5 initiative has its central focus on bilateral and ETI human communications based on mutual respect and universal principles of exchange and contact. So for all of the upcoming methods of contact, which we're going to be sharing with you now, which are 3 out of many, although these are, again, are the 3 main ones that I personally know of, the primary mode of contact is consciousness. Now, we're going to explore 3 different modes of contact made and done in different ways, but the primary tool that all of these individuals are using is consciousness and the understanding of what consciousness actually is. Again, if you look at a previous episode that we've run, we speak about consciousness, whether consciousness is generated from the brain, as we previously were told by our scientists in society, or is consciousness beyond the brain, in the sense that when the brain goes, does consciousness also go, or does consciousness remain? So this is a question, obviously, that is need to be answered for yourself and by yourself through your own explorations. So there is no evidence indicating hostility from these beings. There is, however, a great deal of evidence indicating their concerns over our hostility to ourselves and our planet. Real advances in technology, science, and spirituality are based on benevolence itself. Logic and our own evolution tells us that you will not get far in space if you choose malevolence as your nature. And so we can understand that people that practice CE-5s and contact around the world are putting themselves in a position where they are engaging with societies that are far beyond what we can understand even today in terms of technology, science, spirituality, and culture itself. And so we understand that individuals that have managed to conquer the understandings of physics far beyond what we've been able to understand at this stage of our evolution have had to work together to get to those realizations. And to work together, you cannot have a malevolent nature. Benevolence really is the one that binds things, that evolves things, and that unites things. It's, again, the dual world of positive and negative. So the intentions behind all types of CE-5s is a movement by the people, for the people, to lead the way forward so that leaders can follow. And paving the way to open contact is literally casting our vote for the world we prefer. So contact method number 1, the Greer way. So his specialities is at nighttime, the locations are remote fields outside of cities, and their main protocol is the CTS protocol, which is coherent thought sequencing, or remote viewing, as we would call it. So how it was created, whilst meditating on a clear October night, Steve explains his very real and tangible encounter with extraterrestrial biological entities following a deep meditation he had just conducted. He recalls voluntarily being taken aboard an extraterrestrial craft and explains that the CE-5 protocols were co-created with these entities, who went on to say that the practice of human-initiated contact, CE-5, would one day become very significant. After practicing these contact protocols and successfully vectoring ET craft to his location, Dr. Greer went on to form CSETI, the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and subsequently formed and trained hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals to engage in proactive, positive, and diplomatic contact with our star visitors. Since its formation over 20 years ago, the contact protocols Greer established and reinforced are to this day widely used by thousands of people and hundreds of contactees around the world, all confirming the very real and deep experience of peaceful and positive connections with extraterrestrial visitors. So the protocols and method of the Greer way. Number 1, location. So their location is generally located outside of populated areas and cities, where you would gather a team of researchers with you, a coherent team of researchers, to go out in nearby fields so that you can engage in the protocols. What I mean by coherent is a big emphasis on the CE-5 method developed by Dr. Greer is that the entire team of researchers need to be linked through a coherent wave of awareness, whereby they are all synced into one each other's understanding, intentions, and consciousness, so that the group as a whole can have a more solid energetical foundation that can lay before the contact happens. Their main protocol is the CTS, which is coherent thought sequencing, and which is similar to remote viewing. There are specific layouts and preparations needed for the CE-5 methods by Dr. Greer, such as establishing landing pads, safe zones, and buddy systems when you need to go to the bathrooms and various other things like that. And the results are obviously sightings of ships and sometimes landings or close ground approaches. So these are generally what people would mostly be familiar with, people that are entering the UFO field or the CE-5 field and are learning about the idea that, wow, it is actually possible to encounter and communicate with these beings in a positive space. So really, this is what most people will come across if they do some research. And the results that you will get upon practicing these protocols, depending on your own vibrational frequency, because it always comes down to that, will be obviously sighting of ships and sometimes landing or close ground approach if the vibration is high enough. And again, if you want to understand or see what types of sightings or what types of experiences you can get when you're doing these protocols, there is a video on our YouTube channel which is titled Types of CE-5 Experiences that you can have a look at if you are interested. The type of contact method number 2, the Bingham way. So Robert Bingham is an individual in Los Angeles, I think. who specializes in daytime sightings. He loves going to parks and locations in cities to do it. And his protocol is really eye-sky staring protocol, as I call it. Here is Robert Bingham capturing incredible UFOs in California. And then, sorry, I'm going to go back on that very quickly. So he's been called the UFO summoner. And his methods or contact protocols is: have an open heart, have an open mind, have good intentions. Find a patch of sky and pick a spot on it. Fix your gaze on the spot and look into it as deep as you can, and send out your intention and invitation through your own heart. So his results, as we can see, if you go to his YouTube channel, you will see that he has had a lot of experiences, a lot of sightings, which he and his colleagues have filmed. And there are daytime sightings and balloon-type anomalies and objects. Hundreds of pictures and videos on his YouTube channel. So please feel free to go have a look at that. Contact method number 3, the RAMA way. Now, the RAMA way was developed by South American group and contactee Sixto Paz-Wells in the 70s in Peru. And to me, this is by far the most advanced method of contacts that I have personally ever come across. So the specialty is close contact. The location at which they perform these methods of contacts are sacred sites, such as the Chilca Desert in Peru or Mount Shasta in California. And they are especially program sightings, meaning that they will receive a message through the antenna in the group. We will speak about the antenna in a bit. The antenna being a person who is consciously making telepathic contact with the beings on the ship, and there's a program sighting at an exact time to the minute as to when the ship will arrive. So this is Sixto Paz-Wells, as we can see, with a team in South America. And so the RAMA group, they have intensive preparations beforehand to raise individual and collective vibrations. The intensive preparations often include fasting for a whole week, as well as vegetarian foods, vegan foods, and a really high vibrational way of living and lifestyle for at least a week or two before initiating contact. They generally do it on sacred sites, especially Mount Shasta, recently by Enrique Villanueva, or the Chilca Desert in the 70s and 80s, where they actually used to invite a lot of journalists from around the world who would come and also photograph and encounter these ships. As I said previously, they use antennas in the group, which is an individual who's channeling a message from the beings on the craft, and their intentions are pure intentions of love and progress for humanity. Their results are on-time sightings, meaning to-the-minute sightings. They have Zendra openings, which is portals. So portal openings, you're welcome to have a look at the other channels which speak about this, i.e. Grant Cameron or Enrique Villanueva, which I will post a link of his interview with Paola Harris, which is very informational and really takes you on the journey of making physical contact with these beings. So Enrique Villanueva is one of the individuals who was part of the RAMA group, still is, I'm sure, and he has had a physical encounter with these beings, and describes how the physical encounter was. And to be honest with you, it is really mind-blowing. It is incredible, and I highly recommend you to have a look at that if that tickles your interest. So this is a photo of Mount Shasta in 2017, last year, led by leader Ricardo Gonzalez, who was taking a group of around 50 to 100 people there. You can see there was Grant Cameron and Paola Harris also attending this invitation in Mount Shasta. So our deductions and conclusions for these 3 different types of methods is that there are different methods of contact, and they all lead to different results, but they are all very important in their own way to advance open, peaceful, and diplomatic contact with our galactic societies, and to also further the evolution of humankind from a planetary bound species to an interplanetary galactic society. So the other deductions and conclusions is that we have 3 different kinds of CE-5s that we can all practice. CE-5 light, which I like to call it, which is superficial contact, so to speak, which is mostly sightings based. CE-5 amateur ambassador, which is kind of the Greer and the Bingham way, which is individuals that build and forge relationships with these beings by practicing the CE-5 protocols on a daily, if not a weekly basis. Then we have CE-5 advanced ambassadors, and that to me is the RAMA way, which definitely offers intimate and direct diplomatic physical contact with these beings. Again, we must understand that to do that, we need to really raise our individual vibration so that we can at least meet them halfway, as we understand that these societies vibrate on a much higher frequency than we do and are less dense than we are, physically speaking. So, other contact facilitators to watch out for that are up and coming: Peter Maxwell Slatery, Jimmy B from California, and Linda A. Rorara. We have actually featured some of their videos on our YouTube channel. Feel free to have a look. There's some amazing footage. There's also JFig, Sky Family Connect on YouTube, Tim Woodruff from Joburg, and finally, and most importantly, yourself. So I just want to remind you that you yourself can really do this at any moment. If you are interested or excited or intrigued even by this potential reality, I highly encourage you to have a look at our channel and see the other videos on how to make CE-5 contact and how you can really initiate that for yourself, and really understanding that it's not really about contacting other beings or other people outside of yourself, but really the real contact is inner contact, and it's contact with who you are at your most deeper level. By doing that, you are opening yourself up for symptoms, which we call contact. So the symptoms of really inner contact is external contact with other beings out there that have also advanced in their own consciousness, their own spirituality, and their own culture, and understand that we are all one, and that connection, experience, and relationship is one of the greatest things that we can experience for ourselves. So thank you all very much for watching. This was CE-5 Academy live with our co-host Matt and Gabriel. Sorry, they were a little bit quiet while I was presenting this, but there will be a Q&A that we will start through now. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot through. I'm just going to find out where I can actually see those questions. If you are shooting some questions through, give me 1 second. I actually don't think we can see your questions on here. Or there actually are no questions. If there are no questions, then I will open it up to my co-hosts, Gabriel and Matt. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to shoot through right now.
Yes, indeed. Ash, what are the different types of sightings that we see with craft, especially at night? There's some of flash bulbs and orbs. What else is there, and what are those?
Thank you, Gabe. So, as I said, there is a video on our YouTube channel that you guys can have a look at, which describes and shows the different types of encounters that individuals can have when doing CE-5s. But basically, we have 3 or 4 different methods, or 3 or 4 different kinds of experiences we can have when we're doing CE-5 contact at night and we have sightings. So the one is a star-like object that simply just travels across the sky travels in a way where it's kind of floating and not really traveling. And that, my friends, we must really be careful to not confuse these with satellites or iridium flares or any other potential man-made objects that could be up there. So that's why I always highly recommend the app called Heavens Above, which is a satellite tracking app, and you can basically see 90 to 95% of all satellites that are above your immediate location at any one time. So after seeing the star-like object, we have what we call fast walkers, which are also star-like objects that are coming into the frame of your reference, but however, they are going really, really fast. And these are clearly would not be able to be satellites, and it definitely would not be able to be planes, as they are much, much higher than planes. And these are what we call fast walkers. After that, we have flash bulbs, which are also very common, which is a flash of white light in the middle of absolutely nowhere between 2 stars. Sometimes it repeats itself, and sometimes it just seems to be traveling. These flashes of light, again, we remind you, could be iridium flare. So be sure to check your satellite charts and understand that all of these methods of contact and all these experiences will come in a very synchronistic way, meaning that your connection to these sightings are not random. They don't just happen out of random thin air. They happen because you are there observing them, and you are there attracting them and vectoring them. And I found for myself that, for example, when I'll see a flashbulb, it would not happen at a random moment. It would happen at the very exact moment where I've either made a discovery within, or I've really inquired and made a breakthrough within myself, or it's a question that I've had relating to CE-5 or contact. And that's really when the sightings really show up, is when I am in a deep state of introspection. Thereafter, we also have various other phenomena, such as feeling-based phenomena, especially when we're seeing ships. I know you've seen that and experienced that for yourself, Gabe, where we see a ship coming in and there's a very, very nice, warm feeling in our hearts as we see it. There's also other types of experiences that one can experience when he's on the ground with the team. That can be anomalous tones or various magnetic signals. If you have magnetic trackers, you can see those. So yeah, there are various different types of contact. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, this is fortunately and unfortunately, this is the first time that I am doing a presentation on Google Hangouts, and so I'm not sure that I can actually see questions if there are any. If you have posed a question and I have not answered it, I really do apologize. I unfortunately cannot see it. Oh wait, it seems like we are having some questions here. Oh, here we are live again. Sorry guys, I'm just going to read up the questions very quickly. Gabriel's showing out for me.
From Quantum.
So Quantum, good day. Keep up the good work, Ashley and team. Much support from Australia. Thank you very much, sir. From Peter Jansen, ETs has no hostility towards us. I agree with a lot with Greer's methods, but knit this statement. At an abductee, I know there are ETs there is polarity. I agree with you, absolutely, Peter. There is polarity in the universe, and that is what makes us us, right? The idea, however, again, that there are negative ETs out there that are out to get us or to probe us is really more of a Hollywood question and facet of reality than the real nature of reality. Because if we understand what the abduction phenomenon is in the first place and what that is and the intentions behind it, then the idea of malevolence and benevolence is simply a matter of perspective. So thank you very much for your question, Peter. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining us. I really hope that you appreciated the show. I look forward to connecting in with you very soon. We are possibly going live for a very special show again on Tuesday evening at 11 p.m. Californian time, if I'm correct. So do stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, share this video if you've enjoyed it. And again, thank you all so much for your support. Keep making contact and keep being awesome. Cheers, guys.